We have a new manager on the South Side. And
Will Venable.
the best news, I mean, I'm going to get into his pedigree in a second. But the biggest news is he's not from the White Sox organization or the Kansas City Royals.
That is a major upset.
That is the biggest news of all. And I love the signing outside of getting some veteran manager who's won 3 World Series and has some amazing resume that is, you're just like, oh wow, there's no way this team's not going to turn around. I think we got the right guy for what we're going to be dealing with over the next few years here. Because no matter how good no matter how good the manager is, I'm still anticipating probably 100 losses next year. I mean, let's be realistic.
That'd be a 21 game improvement at that point. So
sad times indeed, Smitty. Sad times indeed.
Just had to point that out again.
Yes, but I mean, you look at who he's been on the bench with: Joe Madden, Alex Cora, Bruce Bochy, 2023 World Series champion, worked with Theo in the front office. That part is super intriguing to me and gets me excited. Can you tell? Because it means he has an understanding of the workings of a baseball team and what it takes to be successful, not just as a manager on a bench, but as the politics of the front office. So,
well, and that's literally the same formula part resume as Craig Counsell, who worked in the front office with the Brewers before he became manager, and same with AJ Hinch. He worked in front office, I believe it was with Houston, but he actually did many different things throughout the organization, including the front office. So that is a pattern that I appreciate, and I think that's really smart for the White Sox to do that as well. Venable is a Ivy League guy. I forget which school, Princeton or one of those schools.
Yeah. I don't know. I know he's Ivy League.
Yeah. I think it makes perfect sense for the reasons you pointed out. I guess my question is, why would he choose the White Sox of all organizations? And I think it kind of comes back to that. He was basically the heir apparent in Texas behind Bruce Bochy, who can't be sticking around much longer. He's in his 70s. Venable actually turned down interviews with the Mets last year and one other team that seemed like pretty good opportunities, certainly considering the Mets are now we're in the NLCS. So it's interesting that he wouldn't go for many jobs, but suddenly he wants the White Sox job. And I think what that might mean is they offered him the type of role or influence or power within the organization that others wouldn't. I think he is going to be acting as kind of a de facto assistant GM to Chris Getz. I think that's the only thing the White Sox had to offer him. So I think that's, as I mentioned, I think and you mentioned, that's a very appealing relationship to have and knowledge base to have a manager that understands the inner workings of the front office and player acquisition, stuff like that, and can be, now I believe he's going to have a voice in that situation with the White Sox. And I think that must be the only thing that's the only thing I can think of that would be appealing over those other jobs that he turned down.
Yeah, I've been reading a few different articles. There was one in The Athletic that kind of hinted that last year, the reason he turned those jobs down was his wife wasn't interested in moving to either of those cities. And, and he had kind of, I guess, decided he was going to have another year with the Rangers, probably in hopes of repeating. The ties back to Chicago, his time with the Cubs, I believe played a somewhat of a role in this, in that they really love Chicago as a city, as a family.
Yeah, he was the first base and third base coach for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
I think 18 through 20.
So I think it was that, and exactly what you're saying. He's in a situation where he knows they made him, they told him the right things. They gave him the right offer to where it's not just going to be like, you're here to run the team. It's like, you're here to run the team. They probably gave him a bit of a autonomy. They're probably like, you run the team the way you want to run the team. I'm not gonna be. Maybe Getz is like, we're a team. I'm not gonna be coming down and telling you how you need to make up your lineup and things like that. So,
And that's the type of relationship that's been described with Council and Jed Hoyer and Scott Harris and AJ Hinch, is that
right.
they work in concert. They're not. You've heard about adversarial relationships between the front office and the manager, i.e., Joe Madden
Yeah,
at the
that's
end
what I
of
was
his
gonna go
career.
to.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it does. That does seem to make a lot of sense. So I guess the problem is, and I already made a graphic for this, but I said, will it matter? Like
Mm,
you said, I mean,
mm.
they're probably going to lose another 100 games next year. It's just going to be a long, long turnaround. But uh, as much influence and whatever Will Venable can do, any manager could do, it's going to take a lot of time and effort. I mean, this is not going to turn around in a day. So
No. A- And the question, Jerry Reinsdorf is still there, and um,
maybe,
maybe, yeah, Jerry's still there, and we'll get to that in a minute. Um, so, you know, that's the interesting part with Jerry still being there and them getting a guy like Will Venable. I mean, I know I adamantly on the last podcast we did, I was like, why would he want to come here? In fact, the top three candidates I
yeah.
named, I'm like, outside of a manager who got fired and is looking for a job, why would you want to come here if you were up and coming and promising? So we'll never know what was said. We'll never know what the
Well,
like
they must have
full.
given him one hell of a sales pitch. So
Yeah, I mean, because the cat's out of the bag. I mean, the Sox are not a secret to anyone. It is the disaster of what this year was has been exploited by every sports outlet. You can read
yeah,
an article about what a-hole Jerry Reinsdorf is as an owner in on ESPN, in the Athletic, the USA Today. I mean, it doesn't matter.
MajorLeagueAles.com,
MajorLeagueAles.com, Yahoo Sports. It's not
well chronicled.
it's not an opinion of us podcasters of our 600 White Sox podcasts that exist out there or whatever crazy ass
Yeah.
number it is. It's not just like angry fans. It's being documented by real reporters about things said within the organization from unnamed sources and things like that. So I don't know, but perhaps the rumored looming sale of the White Sox, I don't know, maybe had a little bit to do with it. I don't think so. I think I, I think maybe Will Venable was told he's going to be dealing directly with like Getz and those types, and he's not going to have to worry about you know visits with Jerry in the office and things like that, and which is good.
Wordhole Media.